For lesson 4, we're going to be talking about scissor tool, knife tool. We're going to be talking about the eraser. We're going to be talking about editing shapes and paths in general. So you are going to need to download the document that I have put in the module before you begin. And then you're going to go to Illustrator and open that file up from wherever you've downloaded it to. You will see that there is a lot going on in this document, but we're going to kind of work through each of these individual artboards to add into this bigger artboard in the end. So there is everything, okay? So these are some specialty tools that you can use. They come in handy for things like changing a shape or changing a path that you've created. And they're just basically editing tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with this artboard right here first. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to switch to that artboard so that it's the main artboard in my window. So I'm going to do this little drop down right here and I'm going to do bird 1. For this one, we're going to use the scissor tool. And what the scissor tool does, it allows you to cut and divide shapes. So what I need you to do is grab your selection tool. And you're going to select this red feather. Okay, so the little red tail, or what's going to become like the red tail. Okay, and we're going to use the scissor tool to cut it and shape it a little bit better. So the scissor tool is going to be right here where your eraser tool is. You're going to click and hold on it for a second. Your pop-up will come up and you're going to grab your scissor tool. Now, remember that we are in the window workspace for Essentials Classics. If you're not in some of these, if you're not in the same one as I am going to be, then these tools can be either located in other areas or may not be on here at all, and we'll have to open them. If that is the case, you come right down here to the bottom, and there's these 3 little dots, and if you click on it, here are other tools that you can add, and you can see that all of these tools are already out in mine because I'm doing the Essentials Classic. If you're doing something like Essentials, I did have to add some of the tools when I was using that workspace. And then you just hit escape and close that back up. Okay, so with the scissor tool, we're going to come down here and we're going to go right here, and I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. But we're going to go to this anchor point right here. So whenever you're using the scissors, you can split at a path, split a path at an anchor point or on a line segment. So you can do either of them. But we're going to start right here, and we're just going to go right here and we're going to click. And that's going to make it really, really small. You can see it. There's a little bitty white line right there. It's just going to make it a separate piece. Okay. Then we're going to come up here and we're going to grab our direct selection tool, which is this white one right here, the white arrow at the top. And we're going to click that anchor point, and we're just going to kind of drag it out a little bit. And kind of come right like here. Okay. You're then going to take the one on the opposite side that it created, and we're just going to pull this up. So you can see that it made it from this real kind of close line, and we're just going to fatten up that tail a little bit, thicken it up. Now you can notice whenever you do this though, whenever you use scissors and cut it, what's going to happen is it's going to break your stroke right here. So to get that stroke back, we're just simply going to grab our selection tool, click outside of it to unselect it, and then reselect it. Now, right over here on your properties panel and your quick actions should be the word join. And I believe, yes, if it's not over here for some reason, again, if you're in the different workspace, anything like that, if you right click on here, you can find it right here below group. Okay, so you're just going to click join and it's going to join that. So what the join tool does is, like if you were making a U and you decided you wanted to close it, it would close those 2 endpoints. So that's what it did on this one. It closed the 2 endpoints. Now we want to change this to actually match the blue of the bird. One of the nice things about when you use the eyedropper tool, if you've never used it before, is you can pick an area that you want to match not only the color, but whether or not it has a stroke and what color the stroke is and what the fill looks like, all of those things by using this eyedropper. So with our tail selected, I can just come over here, this eyedropper, click on the blue, and now his tail's blue, and I can move his tail right down here and put it into place. Okay, we're going to wait and we're going to come back to this bird in a minute. So we're done with him for right now. Next, we're going to work with the knife tool, and we're going to do it on the second bird. So we're going to go right here to Artboard 3, Bird 2, and it's going to send us over this little toucan. Now, instead of using the scissors this time, I'm going to again zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to create the little lines on his beak, so you can use the knife tool. So if you're in Essentials Classic, you can hold down the scissors tool and go right here to the knife. And then with this tool, you can freehand it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of draw freehand over his beak. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can notice that mine's a little curved. And then I'm going to draw another one to go with it. Okay. So if you're wanting that freehand cut, that's all you have to do. But if you want to make sure that you're keeping it at a straight line, you can do horizontal, vertical, and like a 45-degree diagonal. You're just going to press Alt while you're doing it. And you can see that now it's keeping my line completely straight. So press and hold Alt, and then just click and drag down where you want these lines to be. You can now grab your selection tool, and I'm going to click on this very first one right here. Well, I'm going to click outside of it first. So I deselect everything and then click on this very first one. You can see it now cuts this into a separate piece for me. I'm going to go to fill, and I'm going to change this to cyan. Now for the second part, this end of the beak, I'm going to change it to red. So I, again, use the selection tool, selected it, and I'm going to change this to a red. And then for this middle part, I'm going to change it to an orange. Okay, so now we have this whole thing, have his beak updated, but I don't want this black line around it. So I could actually select each one of these and change my stroke over here, or you can do it to all of them at one time by selecting over them. Now make sure you don't get any of the bird in this. You just want to go over the beak itself. And then you can come over to stroke, and you can do this in a couple different ways. You can either down your stroke all the way to 0 by either pushing the arrows or typing a 0 in over it, or you can just click on the little stroke box right here and do the no sign. And then I can click off of it, and there's my bird. Now we're going to go ahead and turn this illustration into one grouped item. So we're going to go over it with the selection tool, draw a great big square. So everything is selected. And again, over here now, your quick access should change to group. If not, you can right click and do this and change it to group, but you're just going to click group. Now, if we select it, it's automatically going to select all the pieces. You can go back, even if it's in a group, and change things by going into isolation mode. So if you double click on it, you'll see that the gray bar comes across the top. And then as you keep clicking on it, the pieces will fade that you haven't selected. So if I really wanted to change this blue one, I could keep clicking on this blue one until everything else is faded. And then I could go back and I could, change it to whatever I want. But I'm going to do Control-0 because I didn't want to change it. And then to get out of this isolation mode, you're going to either hit escape, or you can, when the bar's up here, you can just push the little back arrow. Now, if you also wanted to ever ungroup it, you can. Again, it's right here, or you can right click on it and ungroup it. Okay, so let's talk about the eraser tool now. So we're going to go back to this little bird. So you can either just scroll over to your left a little bit, or you can come down here to the bottom and do bird 1 right here. And this time we're going to talk about the eraser tool. So the eraser tool is right where my knife is. Where's my knife? There's my knife. So it's the first tool in that knife. So it's right here, the eraser tool. And the eraser tool allows you to erase an area of your vector artwork. So for this one, we do have to select it first. So we're going to select the circle up at the top, then grab that eraser tool. And if it's selected, it will only erase from what is selected. So this is kind of nice because I'm just going to come down like this and I'm going to erase, and you can see it just erased right there on that selection. And it went ahead and finished joining it for me. And then I can make sure it's selected, and I'm going to change it a little bit darker of a blue. Now let's grab the one that's down here. And on this one, we want it to go straight across. Okay, so we're just going to cut it right in half. To do that, I'm going to grab that eraser tool again. And I'm going to purposely kind of go over his tail a little bit, just so you can see it's not going to affect his tail at all. So I'm just going to come right down here about halfway. I'm going to press and hold shift, and I'm just going to draw. I'm just going to go from left to right. You'll see I have a little bit extra up here. It's still selected, but watch, see my eraser tool is slightly over the tail. I color it, the tail comes back because it wasn't selected. It doesn't want to affect that. Okay, now with it still selected, I want to rotate this slightly. So I'm going to come right up here in my properties panel to this rotate, and I'm going to rotate. I'm going to have to type it in because I want to rotate it -20 degrees. And then I also want to change it to the blue, just like I did with the eye. And this is going to be his little wing. And why he's sleeping and flying, I don't know, but there we go. And I'm also going to go ahead and turn off the stroke, just because I don't like the way it looks. There we go. So now he is all done. So we're going to go ahead and select all of them. And again, I'm going to come right over here and I'm going to hit the group button. So now he's one piece. Okay, now let's do a butterfly. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do my drop down. I'm going to do 4. We're going to end up using all of this, but we're going to focus on this side right here for right now. So I'm going to do Control+. And I forgot my bird's still selected. If I have to deselect him, otherwise that's what it's going to zoom in on. So I'm going to go back to 4 and do Control+. And now you can see these 2 circles that are half red. Okay. Now the tool that we're going to use on this one is called a shape builder, and it combines shapes. It combines shapes that you can work with them slightly differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our selection tool, and you want to draw a square over the entire thing to make a big selection. And then we're going to grab your shape builder tool, which should be right about here on your toolbar. Boop. Okay, so this first one, what we want to do is we want these 3 pieces to make a wing, but we don't want this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click right here. I'm going to drag down and kind of curve it so it goes through all 3 of those little halves. And your circle is going to turn blue. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. So down, 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 and click. And now you should have a blue one on that one side as well. Okay, so now you can see on my cursor, there's a little plus sign. I want to get rid of this red box and, well, red triangle-ish shape. and this one as well. So I'm going to press and hold Alt and go up there. And now you can see my cursor has a little minus sign. And if I click it and click it, they both go away. So that's Alt with the shape builder tool will make things go away. Okay. For the next piece, we're going to use the shape builder tool, but we're going to go through using the dialog option box. So you're going to double click on the actual tool itself right here. And we want to use the shape builder tool as a straight line. So we're going to grab right here, which is straight line, because you can see it's default on freeform. We want to change it to straight line for now. And hit OK. And with your shapes still selected, you can see everything's still selected. We're going to hold down the Alt key again, and you're going to draw a straight line down both of these rectangles, and it's going to make them go away. Now, why did we have to make it a straight line? We really didn't. It's just to show you how to do it. You could have done that with the freeform as well, just as long as you stayed inside the green box. Okay, now we're going to go up here and grab our selection tool. We're going to unselect it and reselect them. So I'm going to draw a square over them. Sometimes you just have to grab your selection tool, deselect and reselect so that it just resets what you're working on. And we're going to come over and we're going to change these to a kind of a reddy orange color. I'm going to do this one right here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and group these two together. So over here in your properties panel, hit group. And we're going to move these. I'm going to zoom out, Control minus, and zoom out. And I'm going to go ahead and grab these, and I'm going to move them and set them right up against the ones I have over here. But I'm going to zoom back in so I can see it a little bit better before I try and move them. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to grab his body. Again, I'm going to put it right down here in the middle. Okay, next we're going to work with the Pathfinder, and we're not done with the butterfly yet. We're going to come back to him in a little bit, but we're going to work with the Pathfinder panel. And what the Pathfinder panel is, it allows you to combine shapes in different ways. So we're going to come down here to the bottom and do the 5th artboard, which is bird 3, and it should look like this. Now, your Pathfinder's tools can be in a couple different places. When you have something selected, depending on what tool you have, it'll come up, pop up over here. If it doesn't pop up over here, we can always come up to Window and do Pathfinder as well, okay? So with the selection tool, we're going to hold down the Shift key, and we're going to select both of these right here. So the red circle and the blue kind of triangle shape. Okay, so now because we have both of those selected, you're going to see that our Pathfinder tools pop up over here. So I'm just going to kind of explain real quickly what they both are, or what they all four are. So this first one is the Unite. That's going to unite two shapes. So it's going to take, if we did this, it would leave the circle and have this triangle coming off the top of it. The next one is minus front. So the red circle is in front of the blue rectangle, so it would cut down the blue rectangle minus this red circle. So the red circle would go away, so then you're going to have this actual blue triangle-y kind of shape. The third one is going to be intersect, so the area where they intersect would stay, so that would be this area in here. And then on the last one, which is exclude, then that area that I just said would actually disappear, and you would keep this like Pac-Man-y circle and this blue triangle. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do right here, we're going to do minus front. We're then going to take that, we're going to grab our selection tool, we're going to take this and we're going to drag it over here and we're going to put it so that it looks like our bird has a wing. We're going to select the whole thing and turn it into a group. Okay, let's go back up. I'm going to go back up and I'm going to go back to this butterfly up here. And we're going to create a compound path. A compound path is going to let you use a vector object to cut a hole into another object. So think if you're wanting to make a donut, that kind of idea. So we're going to take this little white circle right here and we're going to put it right up here. I'm going to put it kind of towards the bottom of it, but right up here on this orange one. And again, I'm going to zoom in so we can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Control plus to zoom in. And we want to select both of them. And we're going to go ahead and click on this now, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it down here, just so you can see the difference of when it happens. So just with them both selected, drag them down to one of the wings. And we're going to go to Object, Compound Path, and right down here, Compound Path, and Make. Okay. Then we're just going to press and we're going to click right here, press and hold Alt and drag it to the other side. Now, I forgot by doing this, I didn't hold my Shift key, so I'm just going to line up using that intersect right there, and I'm going to pull it over. See the intersect pink line? And then we'll put it in its place. And then I can select all of it. And again, either right click and group or come right, you can come over there and do group. So I did right click group. Then for the last one, we're going to do the width tool. So I'm going to do a drop down right here and I'm going to do the bird 4. And it's right here. And this width tool, I haven't worked with it a whole lot and it's a little tricky at times. So it's something you're going to have to play with and kind of learn how to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my selection tool and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on this path and I'm going to zoom in on the path itself. So we just want this blue line. And by using the width tool, we can kind of stretch it and adjust it and kind of make changes to it. Okay, so with it selected, we're going to grab the width tool and it's this weird little like swirly tool with a line through it that's right here. And you're going to click on it. And you're going to come over here and you're going to click right here in the middle. And then while you're holding it down still, don't let go of the click. While you're holding it down still, you can pull it out and adjust it. Okay. Then I'm just going to click somewhere else on here and it's going to reset that back to the beginning. This time though, instead of pulling out, I'm going to select it and I'm going to push it straight up. So that I can kind of form it to be kind of leaf shape, I guess. Okay, then I want to click on this very top one up here and I'm going to double click on it. And this allows you to make set adjustments to it. And I want to make them the same. So I'm going to click this so that my chain links are back. And I want to change these to 0.18 and hit tab. You can see now it's going to give me that flat top right there. And I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to zoom back out because I'm going to end up putting these together in just a minute. So I'm going to rotate this whole body by 40 to a 45-degree angle. So with it selected, I'm going to come over here into my angles. I'm going to change this to 45 degrees, and it's going to fall this way. And I can grab my selection tool and I can move it and I can line it up with that beak. And I'm going to give him a wing and give him an eye. And then I can select all of it and group it. Okay, so now we've got all of our pieces of our birds put together using those tools. So I can come up here to do view and fit artboard in window. Oh, no, fit all in window, sorry, right there. And I'm going to move these guys into their spots. So this first little guy right here, he fits perfectly in right there. And the little toucan, he's going to come over and he's going to move in right about here. And this little blue bird flying right here, he's going to come in right about there. And I forgot to angle the butterfly. So I'm going to angle this butterfly and I'm going to turn, if you click them and move your cursor right outside one of the corner points, you'll see that the cursor turns from a straight arrow to a curved arrow, and then you can just kind of turn him. And I'm going to make him fit right in here. So if I need to turn him more or resize him more, I can do that. So there he is. And then this little birdie, I'm going to put him right up here. Now, he never does fit, so I'm just going to size him down a little bit and get him to fit inside that little area right there. Don't want him to touch anything. And remember, if you want him to stay the same aspect ratio, just make sure you hold the Shift key. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and save this as an AI file and then save it again as a PDF and submit that PDF to me. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email and I will try and answer them for you.